Hey everybody, I have a video here for you today. Now, the Great Pyramid, I know a lot of you have seen the videos on the study and how it reveals the Great Pyramid of Giza can focus electromagnetic energy. And I have watched a lot of videos and they all go over some interesting things. And this is from physics.org, and I will leave this link below. But I started doing a video on this because I thought this was highly interesting, of course, and of course Christopher Dunn and the whole power plant theory, and really it is what we do not know about this structure that would amaze us the most. For sure, we are just starting to learn through modern research what this building entails. The people who built it think nothing like we think today. Now, what was this thing built for? Egyptologists say it's a tomb, but really we haven't found any pharaohs buried in pyramids. Certainly not up here in the Great Pyramid where the king's chamber is, because any true Egyptian, they would want their bones in the earth and their soul to soar in imperishability to the heavens. Afterwards, body in the ground, so certainly they would not want to be buried 15 stories up in the air. That goes against their most sacred thinking. And of course, we have no Egyptian hieroglyphs or inscriptions or cartouches in this great monument. And if an Egyptian pharaoh would have had this as his tomb, his name would have been all over it. Inside and out, there would have been scenes of his life, the afterlife, transition scenes. There is nothing. Now, when I was just reading about this study, one thing really popped into my mind, and that was a video I did about 5 years ago on something that we all have processed in our brain. We have millions of magnetite crystals in our brain. And let me just do some reading. Now, this is Gaia.com, and I will leave some links below. It says, magnetite is one of the most magnetic substances on Earth. As you can probably guess, it has diverse range of uses from fridge magnets to generating electricity in power plants. But what you probably wouldn't guess is that your brain actually synthesizes these crystals, and you have hundreds of millions of them inside your head. Much smaller ones, of course. Scientists are still unsure what role, if any, these crystals play in the brain's functions. Studies have inferred it may play a role in long-term memory in animals like honeybees, homing pigeons, and dolphins. Magnetite is believed to be associated with the ability to respond to the Earth's magnetic field. While similar studies have yet to be performed on humans, we do know the Earth's magnetic fields affect everything from our mood to our ability to learn. It was shocking to uncover that this highly magnetic substance was actually synthesized by our bodies, and while we don't know exactly what function it plays in brain activities, some interesting theories have emerged. A 2009 hypothesis proposed that magnetite plays a significant role in long-term memory. It suggests that cellular components of the brain communicate with each other through magnetic signals, with simultaneously receiving information throughout the different parts of the brain. Magnetite also acts as an antenna for external electromagnetic fields, including the geomagnetic field of the Earth itself. And this is where things start to get interesting. An enormous body of research is emerging that shows substantive links between magnetic fields and cognitive functions. Back in 1978, research physicist Robert C. Beck published preliminary research on the effects of low-frequency magnetic fields on the moods of human subjects. And I will leave this link below, but it certainly seems that magnetic fields and magnetic energy certainly play a role in brain function. No one has been able to prove the involvement of magnetite. It seems a likely suspect, though. If we learn to harness the power of these tiny antennas in our brain, who knows what kind of psychic superpowers we might unlock. And of course, it's been theorized that we only use 10% of our brain, and there is a video linked here, and it kind of goes over the same thing I read, but I will leave the link below. But magnetite crystals in our brain They seem to harness and affect the way our mind works. But it said in that article, perhaps if we would learn how to harness the energy with these little magnetite antenna receptors, who knows what we would unlock? Well, maybe we would be rediscovering something. I'm just putting this out there as a possibility. Maybe that's what this structure was for, or at least one of the purposes. And how many times have you heard of people who have visited Egypt, either recently or in the past? Graham Hancock, the late John Anthony West, others that have spoken of special mind-bending experiences inside of this great structure. And John Anthony West, when he led tour groups here, they did meditation sessions in the King's Chamber. Why? Because that place worked a special way on your mind. Now here's an article, Brain Magnetite, Nanocrystals, EM Fields, and Consciousness. It says, magnetite as clusters of magnetic nanocrystals have been documented in human brains. It plays a significant role in the nervous system. Magnetite crystal structures are estimated between 5 million crystals per gram to 20 times that in the meninges. Greater than 100 million crystals per gram for pia and dura have been found in all structures of the human brain. It tends to form clusters. Magnetic property data indicate the crystals are in clumps of between 50 and 100 particles. Also found in the cerebrospinal fluid, they connect through the meninges with the extracellular matrix and the vagus nerve. Magnetite in the ethmoid bone at the root of the nose functions as tiny compass needles, helping us orient to the Earth's magnetic field. Magnetite may also be implicated in steering chemical reactions in the body and responses to external fields. Applying magnetic fields to certain parts of the brain shows how it can modulate functions, perception, and subjective awareness. Consciousness may be an electromagnetic phenomena. Now these magnetite crystals, where are they located? It says, brain tubulin structure and assembly are affected by magnetite nanoparticles in a viscous fluid behaving as liquid crystals under interaction of dipoles. So it seems they are kind of floating around in this liquid, and then they are affected by the environment you are in. And I'm quite sure these nanocrystals would align a certain way inside the Great Pyramid chambers. And I'm wondering how differently they would align in the Bend Pyramid. Now, this is a possibility that I thought was worth bringing up. There seems to be some evidence that would suggest this is a possibility. And this focused electromagnetic energy that seems to be conducted inside the Great Pyramid seems to me it would have an effect on these nanocrystals floating around in this fluid, these magnetite cells, and it would certainly affect your conscious experience. And in the video I did 5 years ago, the study said, well, seems to really possibly have a great effect on the pineal gland, the very gland that is supposed to give you somewhat of a spiritual experience. So this is all worth bringing up. Some theories are thought to be crazy when they're first brought up, but I think the connection between modern science here and a big mystery needs to be brought up. And it goes on to say, perceptual output can vary widely from sensory input. Our senses are actually filters of electromagnetic input and information processing. And it just sums it up this way, and I will leave this link below. In our opinion, due to their unusual biophysical properties, special biomagnetites must have a biological function in living cells in general, and in the brain in particular. And getting back to this study, it says, while Egyptian pyramids are surrounded by many myths and legends, researchers have little scientific reliable information about their physical properties. Physicists recently took an interest in how the Great Pyramid would interact with electromagnetic waves of resonant length. Calculations showed that in the resonant state, the pyramid can concentrate electromagnetic energy in its internal chambers, as well as under its base, where there is a third unfinished chamber. Under the pyramid, Did water flow through there in its original state? The pyramid, this is all we have left of it today. In its original state, how great was this current of electromagnetic energy that it seemed to focus? Did it have anything to do with the magnetite in your brain? Well, I think it did. I think it's a great possibility. It says the pyramid can concentrate electromagnetic energy in its internal chambers. So maybe the king's chamber was all about a mind experience in its original form to the original builders, and maybe the empty sarcophagus symbolized it had nothing to do with the physical body. It was all a mind experience. The Great Pyramid, it was a mind machine. I think that's a great possibility. Hope you thought that was interesting, and you all have.